I criticise social media quite a lot, particularly for the impact it's had on younger people and on our society as a whole. However, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge that YouTube is a form of social media. And the great thing, to be fair, about YouTube and other forms of social media is that it does allow us to freely express our beliefs and our opinions. And people then can take or leave them, agree, disagree, comment, etc. And that's great. It opens discourse on sometimes quite important matters. We take for granted sometimes the fact we live in a country that has freedom of speech or freedom of expression, or at least that's what we're led to believe. So much recently I've reported on people getting arrested, people getting imprisoned for sharing or commenting on posts on Facebook and other social media platforms. This was particularly prolific after the so-called riots that we saw in the light of the murder of those 3 girls in Southport. However, another story today which I really hope goes the right way is this one. It's about a teaching assistant who was sacked from her job at a school because she expressed her concerns around the teaching of LGBT plus relationships to primary school children. School assistant sacked for her Christian beliefs after she criticised plans to teach LGBT plus relationships to pupils fight dismissal in court. And it's fairly safe to say that the vast majority of people, and myself included, will be right behind her. Now, I think in this instance, actually, the fact that they refer to her as a Christian is kind of a bit of a red herring. I don't think any of this has to do with her beliefs, although her Christian beliefs might form a foundation as to why she disapproves of certain types of relationships. Or would we suggest that maybe if she was of a different religion, maybe one that more proactively objects to LGBT plus relationships, that maybe her protected characteristics would have prevented her from getting the sack, because maybe, had she got the sack, the school or education authority would have fallen on the wrong side of a certain type of ism. The school assistant said she was fired for her Christian beliefs and to start a court challenge over her dismissal as she criticised plans to teach about LGBT plus relationships. Christy Higgs, 47, was sacked for gross misconduct by Farmers School in Fairford, Gloucestershire in 2019, so quite a long time ago actually now, after sharing Facebook posts condemning the proposals. Sorry to interrupt the video very quickly. If you're not already subscribed, please just hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. There'll be no hard feelings if you change your mind at a later date. At the moment, only 5% of people who watch my videos regularly are actually subscribed, so let's change that around a little bit. Hit that button and it'd be greatly appreciated. It helps me more than you know. There'll also be a link in the description down there if you want to buy us a beer, but for now, back to the video. Now, as we know, in 2024, you can actually get jailed for sharing certain Facebook posts. In this instance, she just lost her job, so dare we say, in this country of freedom of speech, she got off relatively lightly. The Court of Appeal has begun considering her legal challenge this morning after Mrs Higgs and supporters gathered outside and held a group prayer. Now, I've said before that I'm not a religious man. I'm very much of the atheist variety. However, if she wants to pray outside the building, if she wants to pray outside the courtroom, then she's very entitled to do so. It's very much the definition of a silent, peaceful protest. However, I'm not totally sure that being a white Christian in this particular instance is necessarily going to help your case when it comes to a two-tier judiciary. Mrs Higgs from Fairford had shared and commented on posts raising concerns about relationship education at her Church of England primary school. Now, I would say that if the school aligned itself with the Church of England, then it would assign itself with the teachings of Christianity. And we do still, in theory at least, live in a Christian country, and you would expect the schools to keep their teachings in line with that. The church has somewhat in many respects abandoned some of its original beliefs in order to stay with the times. Pupils would learn about the No Outsiders in Our School programme, a series of books teaching the Equality Act in primary schools. There are many things that I think young children need to know about. Using the toilet and not going into school in nappies is one of them, but basic English, maths, other skills, communication, getting on with each other, socialisation, maybe the odd science experiment, who knows, right? There are things that I think kids should be taught in schools. The Equality Act, however, I believe isn't one of them. If you want to see a definition of equality, if you want to see a definition of someone who is not racist, someone who is not homophobic, someone who is not xenophobic or any other phobic, then just look at children. Children take each other at face value. Children do not have any preconceived notions about race or gender or sexuality. Any potential bigotry only really comes later in life and is generally formed around our experiences with people of differing factions. I'll put the Facebook post up that Christy shared. Obviously feel free to pause it so you can read it and see what she was actually sacked for. Mrs Higgs, who posted on Facebook under her maiden name, shared 2 posts in October 2018 to about 100 friends, one of which referred to brainwashing our children. Now, I think the term brainwashing might not be the correct one here. However, I think there's a certain level of indoctrination, shall we say, that kids are now aligned to the message. I remember, and this is going back a few years now, my stepdaughter, who was, I think, 8 or 9 at the time, came home and told us how Donald Trump was going to start World War III. This is quite clearly something that comes from either a personal opinion from the teacher or just the general overlying political bias that is expressed to our children through the schools. Now, I'll link the article in the description below so you can read the rest of it. However, the crux of it is that she is appealing this decision based on the fact that these are her opinions and they don't align with her beliefs as a Christian, and indeed the beliefs that maybe a Church of England school should be holding and presenting to the pupils. I think, however, more importantly, and we can take religion out of this, two main points are raised here. Firstly, should someone actually be sacked from their job for personally expressing their opinions outside of the workplace, unless of course those opinions or beliefs or points of view are ones that are directly insightful to violence or to hatred? And secondly, this is really a case about common sense and free speech. But I think ultimately this is going to be a case that underlines or is just a further nail in the coffin of free speech and common sense, which, as we can tell, is getting increasingly less common. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and until next time, stay safe and stay sane, and let's hope this is going to be a victory for common sense. I'll be sure to report on it when the verdict is announced.